Howdy, this is Matthew Walker, one of the dietitians here at Food and Friends, but as you may have noticed, we are not here at Food and Friends. We are here in my very own home kitchen to show you that you don't need industrial burners or massive sized pots and pans in order to cook delicious meals using the items that we send on our grocery delivery. Today, we're making a protein and potassium-packed pumpkin pasta with some of these ingredients that you see right in front of you. Let's get into it. So at this point, I'm over at the stove. I got a pan over medium heat. We're just gonna wanna add a little bit of softness to our onions without really coloring them hard. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. I'm using olive oil. You can use whatever kind you want, including the vegetable oil that's found in the Food and Friends deliveries. I just want enough where I can get a little bit of a layer across the bottom of my pan. And then I can go in with my onions. And I'll add a little bit of salt right at the beginning just to help draw some of the water out of the onions. Now, it's important to listen to all senses when you're cooking, including sound. So if you're listening to this and you notice it's really ripping, you know that you might have the heat up too high and might end up burning it. But right here, this sizzle right here is what I want. So I'm gonna let these go for just about 5 minutes. So this has been going for about 5 minutes. You're starting to see just a little bit of color. The onions are softening. So right now is a good time to put in our garlic. If you like things a little bit spicy, you can add a little bit of chili flake. If you like things a lot spicy, you can add a lot of chili flake in there. And then I also like to add in a little bit of pepper right now. So when you add these foods in early, they release some of the compounds in them that provide their flavor into the cooking oil. So after letting that go for a little bit, we're gonna add in the star of our show. So we're gonna add in canned pumpkin. One of the really interesting things with canned pumpkin, as opposed to most other canned foods, is that if you check the ingredients, it's literally just pumpkin. They don't add any salt, there's no sugar unless you're buying pumpkin pie mix. So you can get this and just go straight from the can into the dish that you're making. So I'm just gonna get a spoon, dig it out right there. And I like to also let this get a little color on it. So I'll move that around. And you'll see just a little bit of it start to stick on the bottom of the pan. This is good. So we want to let the heat caramelize the sugars that are in the pumpkin just a little bit. So it's been just a couple of minutes. As you can see, just a little bit of this is starting to stick on the bottom of the pan. So that's adding a good bit of flavor from the heat caramelizing those sugars. So in order to incorporate that back into the dish, we're going to add a little bit of stock. So this can be vegetable stock, chicken stock, from our deliveries or from anything else. This is actually turkey stock that I made with some of the turkeys that we send in our Food and Friends Thanksgiving deliveries. So we get some necks and I made stock out of it. But we're gonna go in with that. And as soon as we add in our liquid, it's gonna cool things down, and we wanna take that opportunity to scrape up the bottom of our pan. Mix that back in, and then I'm gonna add my proteins. So for me, that's going to be the can of beans that I rinsed earlier. So I'm gonna add those in and disperse them throughout the sauce. So the nice thing with canned beans is they are, of course, already cooked. So we just wanna bring them up to temperature and maybe give them a little bit of time to soften in the sauce. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt right now. I know that, with the canned pumpkin being just pumpkin, there's not gonna be a lot of salinity in there already. So adding just a little bit of salt to help with the flavor is gonna be a good thing. If you're watching your sodium levels, it's still a better option to season your food by yourself rather than using high sodium ingredients from the store. So adding in a little bit right now is gonna help make this food taste good without compromising our heart health or kidney health goals. I'm also going to add in a little bit of nutmeg. You can use ground nutmeg just fine. I just happen to have the whole stuff, so I'm gonna grate it in myself. But there's really not that much of a difference unless you're a dietitian food nerd like me. And we're back since I just dropped the nutmeg into the sauce. Mix that on in, reduce this down to a simmer, and we're gonna let it go for about 10 minutes. If you wanted to eat this tonight, this would probably be about the time when you'd want to get your pasta into the boiling water. So I have some water getting ready to come to a boil here, but I'm going to start that a little bit later because I want to show you guys something. So while our sauce is simmering over on the stove, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why we include pumpkin in our deliveries. A lot of people think of it primarily as a dessert item, something to be used in sweet treats, in pumpkin bread, that kind of thing, or as an item that really only gets eaten around the holidays in pumpkin pie. But it can be a lot more than that. It can be used in a wide variety of dishes besides just sweet ones. And it's a bit of a nutrient powerhouse. Pumpkin, much like carrots and sweet potatoes and other orange foods, is high in beta-carotene, which is a precursor to vitamin A. So our body is able to turn it into vitamin A, which is great for our eyesight, along with a lot of other functions in the body. It's relatively high in fiber, especially soluble fiber, which has a lot of different roles, including addressing, the way we go to the bathroom, making us nice and regular. It can help with blood sugar maintenance, and it can help with clearing cholesterol from blood. So in a wide array of health conditions, it can be a helpful food to include, and is also just delicious, so you can include it already. It's also relatively high in potassium, which can be great for blood pressure management. A word of warning though, that if you are on dialysis or have kidney disease, you should be checking your potassium levels before including foods like canned pumpkin and squash in your meal plan regularly. So it's been about 5 minutes now. And whenever you're simmering a sauce like this that's a little bit thick, it's a good idea to occasionally stir and check in and just make sure that nothing's burning and sticking to the bottom. So this is fine. So it's at a low enough heat, but it's still bubbling, which is what I want to see. So after about 5 minutes, I'm going to mix in my milk. You can also use, mostly milk and then a little bit of cream, or half and half if you happen to have it, if you like a little creamier product. But we don't want to add too much saturated fat to this dish. Now you can also add this in right at the beginning of the simmer with the stock. I just like adding it in when it's already gotten up to the temperature I want, because it's going to cool it down since it's coming from the fridge. So again, we're just going to mix it up so that everything combines and it turns this really pretty shade of light orange. So once that's mixed in, let it come back up to a simmer and just give it another 5 minutes on the stove. So importantly, always make sure when you're cooking something that you are tasting it yourself for seasoning. So I got a spoon here. Make sure you get yourself a bean so you're fully tasting what's going on there. Try not to burn the inside of your mouth. So I can tell now that that does need a little bit more salt. So I'm going to add some in now. Mix that in. But I'm not gonna add in all the salt I would want to, because I'm also gonna add in a little bit of Parmesan here. Now you don't have to include this if you don't want to. It's plenty flavorful without it, but it's something I've got and I like it on pasta, and most people do. So the nice thing about making the pasta sauce in a big batch like this is that if you're serving multiple people, you can just make the pasta at this point and go on with it. But for instance, if you're only cooking for one, you don't have to worry about making the sauce every single time. This right here is a perfect time to stop the sauce, stop cooking, let it cool off a little bit, get it into containers and in your fridge. And then when you're ready to make a single portion, you just have to bring it up to temperature and mix it with the pasta and you're ready to go. So that's what I'm gonna do with a little bit of this right now. I'm gonna put some into a container and then I'm gonna finish the dish with the pasta here in just a bit. So right now, I've got some water boiling over here. I'm gonna salt it and let that dissolve in there. And then I'm going to add the exact same whole wheat pasta that we send to our clients. The box says it'll take about 10 minutes to be ready. I'm gonna take it to about 1 minute short of that because I wanna finish cooking it in the sauce. So I'm gonna set a 9-minute timer right now and check back in at that point. So I put up some of the pasta sauce. I've got, some left here for me and my camera buddy right now. Our pasta is fully cooked. I'm gonna take it out and put it in right here. If you're gonna strain it, that's fine, but save some of the pasta water. We're gonna use that. So I'm gonna move the pasta in here. It's currently al dente, so it's a little hard. So we're gonna let it finish cooking in the sauce. So I'm gonna mix it in, shake the pan up a little bit, mix it around. You can see it's a little tight right now, so in order to remedy that, we're gonna loosen it up with a little bit of the pasta cooking water. And the starch that's in there is gonna help make sure that the sauce remains nice and smooth and velvety and doesn't separate. So you can mix that in until it's nice and glossy and smooth. So I'm here with Mike, works in communications here at Food and Friends. You may have seen him before in some of these videos if you've been watching him. He's been the guy behind the camera this entire time, so thank him for making the food look as good as it does. So give it a try.
All right. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Definitely made it a little spicy, which again is my preference, but you can make it taste however you want with the ingredients that you add. And then you certainly don't have to use beans as the protein source here. You could use some of the canned chicken from our delivery, just mixed in and warmed in the sauce is gonna work just as well. Or you can even grill up some of the frozen chicken we send, put it on top right at the end. Or of course you can go ahead and use the ground turkey that we send in our deliveries, mix that on in. So whatever protein source you choose, whatever works best for your nutrition goals, it's gonna still taste pretty good. It's gonna taste like pumpkin. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna eat this for dinner now.